All right, continuing the rating climb against the chess.com bots. We're at the 400 ELO level now, starting with Juan. And usually, if your opponent lets you get 2 pawns in the center, I'm going to do it. So, baby's screaming. Usually, if your opponent lets you get 2 pawns in the center, you want to do it. And so that's what I'm going to do. F6. So, whenever I see a move that exposes my opponent's king along a diagonal, particularly this diagonal, I want to be paying close attention. And why is this diagonal so much different than, let's just say, this diagonal? Well, this diagonal, it's very easy to block, right? If you move this d pawn up, usually you have a knight that can block, you have a bishop that can block, you have another pawn that can block a check from here. It's not that dangerous. This one's different. You've got 1 pawn here. And if for some reason that pawn gets moved, you could just get checkmated, right? That's how the fool's mate happens. So I'm paying close attention to that, and I'm going to keep my eye out for things like this, right? And I might actually even just play bishop c4 to put some more pressure on some of those weak squares. Okay, so he does play e6, which is a good move, kind of shutting down here. And I don't really want to lose a tempo on d5 against my bishop. So I'm going to try to prevent that by playing knight to c3. And we'll see what Juan's going to do. Ooh. King to f7. So what am I going to be thinking about here? Well, first of all, can I attack it right away? Queen h5 check. Okay, there's g6. That looks like a pretty good defensive move, actually, for Juan. So maybe that's not the way to approach it. d5 looks pretty good, though, because if he takes me, I'm going to be able to take back with the bishop or the queen or the knight, and there's going to be some things happening. He could move the knight away, but then I'm also going to be able to potentially trade, and then look at that. The queen is going to be sitting back there. So d5 looks like a great move. Of course, I could develop a piece, but when you have a very specific weakness and you see a concrete way to attack it, usually that's a good thing to do. Yeah, and here we go. This is what I talk about. I could take, and if he takes me, look at his queen. His queen's going to be sitting back there. And if he doesn't take, well, I'm getting a free pawn, and I'm exposing the king, and okay, wow. So can't be good for him, right? All right, so what do you do when you're in a situation where you know that the opponent has made some bad moves, but how do you take advantage of it? The way that I like to look at it is, first of all, think about where the king can run to. Okay, so this is great because he can't run back. This bishop is also great because he can't run here. This pawn, that means he's almost checkmated, right? Like imagine if I had a knight on f4. That's almost, it would block the bishop, but still almost checkmate. So we're going to start with the obvious ones. Can the queen come and deliver the mate? No, because this knight is a little bit annoying. So that makes me think maybe I want to play f4, chase away the knight so that my queen can come in and deliver the final blow. I could also try to bring my knight like this. That looks really good as well. But yeah, I think f4 is just the simplest and most easy. Because if I win a knight, that's great. Of course, if he takes me, what's going to happen? Let's calculate it. Queen check. King's going to move over here. And then it looks like I could push this pawn forward and unleash the bishop. And there's going to be checkmate, as far as I can tell. I guess there's g5, but then en passant, yeah, it still looks like it's going to be very, very good, probably lead to checkmate. So I'm going to play f4. And you want to make sure you just have, before you give up a piece, make sure you have a clear path. And okay, this is very bad. I was going to go there anyway. Now I'll just go there and take the piece at the same time. And okay, let's look for checkmate. And there is f5, unleashes the bishop. There's going to be g5. We have en passant. Maybe the king actually can get away. So I'm actually going to look for another option. What about queen h4 check? There is no g5 to block. He has to go here, and then we can actually checkmate with a pawn. So good example of, sometimes the first thing that you look at doesn't work. Keep looking, keep finding different ideas until you find the best one. And that looks like it's going to be queen here check, followed by a beautiful pawn checkmate here. So we see the dangers of not only exposing the king, but then he even moved the king. It got even worse. And notice how I took advantage of that. I just developed until I saw a clear opportunity to force something open to get to the king. And then Juan continues to make bad moves, and I was able to follow that up with bringing out the queen, and it was pretty straightforward and easy game. Okay, let's go to the next spot. All right, Philip, good luck. We're going to play e4 again here. Plays b6. So again, I'm going to just follow the same principle here of if I can get 2 pawns in the center, I'm going to do that, right? Bishop a6. Interesting. So usually they go here and attack. He is just trying to trade here. And I am going to go ahead and trade. And my thought process is this. If I, let's just say, move my knight, or move this knight, and I allow him to take me, that's awkward. Can you guys see why that's awkward for me? Well, it's because I'm not going to be able to castle this way. Even if I take with the rook, I could still castle queenside, but I lose the option to castle here. And a lot of times that's what I want to do. I want to castle kingside. So I'm going to trade rather than lose my castling rights. The other thing about this is even though he can take back, his knight is now in a weird space. You don't really want your knight on the edge of the board. And then on top of that, it's undefended, which means at any moment, I can look at moves like this, or if this pawn moves forward over here, and I might have some tactics where I can win a piece. So I'm just going to leave that there, actually, until I see a good opportunity. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead, develop a piece, get ready to castle. He plays h5. I'm not really concerned by that. I think I'm going to keep developing. Now, I could castle, but since it looks like maybe Filip wants to attack me here, one thing that I like to do is just delay a little bit, maybe play another move like bring out my bishop. And if he still wants to attack me, that's fine, but I'm going to have even more pieces developed. And the more pieces you have developed, the safer it's going to be to castle, even if your opponent decides to attack you. Okay, so this is exactly what I was talking about. I'm going to play c3. Can you guys tell me why I'm going to play the move c3? Something related to what I said earlier. Well, if you had a chance to look at that, I'm trying to take advantage of the knight. I want to move queen to a4 check, which is going to be a fork, and it's going to win me a piece. And of course, I can't do that because the pawn's in the way. So I'm going to play c3, which is a good move anyway. It helps to support my center. But I'm threatening here, and here we go. He didn't see it. And I'm going to get a free piece. So it goes back to that early decision by Filip to put the knight on a kind of an awkward square that's undefended. And here we go. Now we can take advantage of that, right? Always be scanning for these kind of tactics. And then when they pop up, you're ready for them. Okay, so there we go. We got a free piece. Pretty straightforward. Okay, he's continuing to push that. I'm still thinking about castling here. I think what I am going to do is play h3. Because if I allow him to go here and I play g3, then I have some weaknesses along the white squares. But if I play h3 myself, I don't really feel like this is a weakness because I have a pawn, I have a bishop, and it stops what he's trying to do. And so now I'm actually comfortable castling here if I need to. Okay. And also I should have been scanning because this actually looks like a very good move, potentially. Let's see. He's going to have to move his king here, which is good. He's going to lose castling, right? So I'm definitely leaning towards playing that move. Ooh, and then there's a follow-up tactic where I can lure the queen away from the defense of the rook. Yeah, so there's a very nice tactic there. And that just popped up because after he moved here, it unleashed my bishop. So again, always be scanning for these opportunities. And then when they happen, you're ready for them. So let's go with the check. And this is what I'm talking about. There's a fork, and even though I'm going to lose my bishop, it's okay because then it lures the queen away from the defense of the rook. So very straightforward, simple little tactic there. I'm going to go for that. And I'm going to grab the rook over here with check. Like we're going to get the pawn next too. Yep. And I think I will go ahead and take it with check. I'm just looking for free pieces at this point, and since they're with check, very little for me to worry about, and it's pretty easy to just capture that. Okay, so since I'm up so much material, trading is absolutely a good decision. That being said, since black's king is in danger, then maybe I would not want to trade queens because it's going to be easier for me to checkmate. So I'm thinking about queen takes f7, attacks here, but then the knight could come out. I could still jump in with my knight. That looks pretty good. I could also go here, check. And then when the queen blocks, grab the pawn over here. That also looks very good. So lots of ways you could approach it. Yeah, I think I will just go with this one and just keep grabbing all these pawns on the queen side here. Okay, let's do that. I could have taken the bishop too. I actually missed that. I was moving a bit fast. Okay, he's going to give me another opportunity. So that does look like a free piece. Let's go ahead and take advantage of that. And now it's just a question of how do we want to finish off the game? Do I want to trade and go into an endgame, or do I want to look for a checkmate? I think I am going to bring my knight forward. And my position's very solid. Everything is kind of defended. I don't see a... Oh, wow. I don't see a way for the queen to invade. I guess I didn't think about that. Let's take the free queen. And now probably... Well, I'm just going to take the free pieces. I mean, I could look for checkmate, but so easy on my brain. I don't even... doesn't really require much thought. Okay. And now I will look for checkmates. So I believe the easiest thing is going to be a castle. Bring my rook right here. And yeah, wow. There might even be a faster way. Let's go check here. And there should be... Checkmate. There it is. So I was just seeing what squares were covered with by my pieces, and then how do we take advantage of that? Queen here is checkmate. All right. So good game to Filip. And key point here is whenever you see an undefended piece, keep that in the back of your mind, right? And look for those opportunities. And that's exactly what we saw here. As soon as the king was exposed, I noticed the fork. Very, very important. Okay. Let's go to the next bot. This will be the last one for this video, the last 400 rated bot. And I guess I'm playing white in all of these games. I thought it was going to alternate, but it keeps pairing me as white, which is fine, but I wanted you guys to see some games with black, so maybe next time I'll play with black. She plays a gambit, and it's not a good gambit, so we're just going to take it. There are a few little tricks and traps you have to be aware of, but we're going to see. Yeah, so this is sort of one of them. Basically, if we're not paying attention, for example, if we played bishop f4, the queen could come over here with check and attacks our bishop. And if we're not paying attention again and we just like move our knight, we could lose a bishop like that. So that's a risk, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to start with the knight and avoid that trap. Okay, b5, it can't be a good move. You know, you're not developing your pieces. You're just throwing this random pawn forward. I don't really know what that's all about. So how do I approach this? Well, I want to develop my knight. I want to develop my two bishops, and I want a castle. So how do we best do that? I like knight to c3 because it attacks a pawn. I'm also not really concerned about the push because I could jump into d5 and start attacking some more stuff, which looks pretty good to me. But I also like e4 because it unleashes my bishop and attacks the pawn that way. So I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong way here. I'm going to go ahead with e4. I think both of these moves were fantastic. b4, okay. So we don't want to go there anymore, but we don't even have to worry about that. I think I'm going to continue with probably bishop c4. And the reason I'm choosing this over these pieces is because, number one, I want to castle quickly. And number two, if I move this knight, since I can't go there, I'd have to block the bishop, which doesn't really make sense. And then this one actually looks pretty good too. Attacking the queen gains a tempo. But like I said, I just want to get my king to safety, so I'm going to choose this one. Again, I think both of these moves were absolutely fantastic. c5, okay. I'm starting to think about, this, it's defended at the moment, but I do have bishop g5. Actually, bishop g5. What do you guys notice about bishop g5? Where is the queen going to move to? No, 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 no. It's trapped. So the only move would be f6. So whenever you have situations like this, where there's almost a queen trap, that's a clue that, hey, there might be some kind of a tactic or something that I want to start thinking about. So, like, for example, bishop g5, f6, maybe we take and we get a fork, right, with the queen. That's an example of what I'm talking about. There's a tactic that just popped up there. Now, is that the best tactic? I don't know, because when I go bishop g5, f6, if I take, maybe they'll just take me, and it's not really that great. But this is what you want to think about. I also could just take this. That's not quite good enough. I could go here first, and then after knight c6, then go bishop g5 takes. But why? I don't really want to lose my queen, so that's not quite good enough. Yeah, so, I still think I'm probably going to play bishop g5. I mean, I don't really... Yeah, maybe it's not the best. I'll probably just drop my bishop back at that point and just keep black in a bind. But I am scanning for those tactics because you never know when they might pop up. Wow. Okay. Well, if they would have played f6, I was just going to go back. And the reason is I don't want to trade and kind of like unwind black's position for them. And so I was thinking about just going back. In this case, of course, I'll just take the free queen. And now I believe it's time. Let's go ahead and just castle. I mean, I am looking at this, but I think black could just bring the knight out. So let's go ahead and just... f5. Okay, probably going to en passant that. Why not? It clears one of the pawns out of the way. It's ready to open up for the other pieces. And so I think that's a good decision. I'm thinking about e5. And by the way, I should mention, like, I could take time to develop this knight, like move it here and move it here or move it somewhere. But because black is giving me all of these obvious weaknesses and my king is already safe, that's why I'm like saying, look, I'm going to just not worry about that developing move at the moment. I have these other very serious threats, right? Another move that's very appealing is queen to d6. Now, it's a risky move to play because there's a bishop there that I have to watch out for. But it's an appealing move because it blocks this pawn. And this pawn is stopping the bishop. It's kind of clogging up black's pieces. And I'm just attacking a bunch of stuff, right? I am really thinking about that. Also, e5, like I said, I want to just open up this for the rook. There's so many good moves, but it's actually tricky to figure out, what to play. Queen to d5, I could take the knight. If it goes here, I could take this. Yeah, really, if it moved anywhere, I could take this. So I do like that move. I think I'm going to go queen d6. This is a big threat. Okay. This is also one. Yeah, I'm going to take this one. The reason I'm choosing this, it's with the tempo on the rook. Okay, they don't see it. I'm going to take the free rook. All right, so what should we do now? Well, we're clearly very far ahead, but also the king is exposed. Maybe we can look for an opportunity to deliver a checkmate here pretty soon. So I do want to save my queen, right? So maybe I'm just going to take this. It's a free pawn. Attacks the knight. Also lines up over here where I can keep attacking. That looks great. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and I mean, at this level, if you see a free piece, why not just take it? So we're going to do. Okay. Now, I don't see like an immediate way to win. So I think I'm going to just go with the principle of, hey, if I'm ahead by a significant amount of material, which I am, trading is good. So I'm going to play bishop d5 and get ready to trade one of these pieces off. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and do that because I just want to simplify the game and make it easier on myself. Okay. Again, I'm going to follow that same idea of like, let me try to trade. And notice I'm not like doing anything crazy to trade. I'm still trying to play good moves, right? So like the last move, I brought my bishop to the center of the board. It was defended by a pawn. It was lined up on some of my opponent's pieces. And I wanted to trade. But I'm still trying to accomplish multiple things. So like this move, knight to e5 that I'm about to play, yes, I want to trade. But it's also just a good move. It's like, hey, bringing the knight to the center, creating threats against black's pieces. Remember, when you can accomplish multiple things at the same time, that's always a good sign. Okay, again, what do we have here? It's a free piece. I'm going to take it. Okay, now I'm going to start looking for checkmate opportunities. I think I will go queen to d5 and threaten this. And yeah, they don't stop that, so we will take here. And we have a free rook. I'm also looking for checkmate. So the king doesn't have a lot of options. I have knight to c4. King goes here. And then I could take that with check. So that looks like a nice little in-between move. And do I actually have an immediate checkmate? No, I don't think so. So we'll go ahead and take the rook with check. And I think we can go knight a3. Finally develop that piece. Defend my knight at the same time. Looks pretty good. And checkmate is going to be very, very soon. Okay. I think I see a way to checkmate with a pawn, which is very cool. I usually try to do that when I can. So here we go. Go checkmate with the pawn. All right. There you go. Basically, we saw the same thing in all three of these games, right? Like, just develop your pieces, control the center, and just take the free pieces that they give to you and take advantage of the weaknesses that are created as the game goes on. That's pretty much it. Next time, we'll get up to the 550 rated bots, and it's going to start to get a little bit more interesting as they get better and better. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp. Play smart. Take care.